So you were born as a sparrow, small, weighing just over 2 grams, with a downy covering that hints at plumage rather than actually functions as one. Sparrows are born tiny, only about 2 centimeters long. So yes, you started out quite modestly, almost like a pencil stub, but with big ambitions. The first thing you see is your parents. But what does your father do? It seems he has doubts about your mother's loyalty. Males can peck chicks to death if they decide that the egg in their nest is someone else's. A good start, isn't it? You're already lucky with this. You didn't die in the first seconds. For now. From the first days, your survival depends on your parents, who bring you worms and insects, almost like a food delivery service. But even in this paradise nest, danger lurks. A too noisy neighbor chick? Perhaps he will simply be pushed out of the nest. Farewell, little sparrow. But if you suddenly turn out to be the quietest in the nest, you can be left without dinner. And with neighboring chicks, things are not so simple. If one of the brothers accidentally turns out to be stronger, he can push you out of the nest. Sorry, bro, but resources are limited. The strongest survive in this nest. You have grown up. Now you are about 15 days old. You already have feathers. You are a male. This can be understood by your coloring. Males have a brighter coloring and have a so-called tie on the neck. Females have a calmer coloring, without bright highlights. You do not know how to walk. You only jump. The structure of your legs will not allow you to walk. Since you already have feathers, then it is time for your first flights. This is the very moment when you are literally pushed out of your comfort zone. Come on, you can do it, say your parents, but in fact they do not care about you anymore. The first flights are not so much flights as leaps of faith. Now your fate depends on where you fall. It seems that your brother was unlucky. At the age of about 20 days, you already consider yourself an adult. You can already fly quite well and begin to think about an independent life. Leaving the nest is an important stage of growing up. Of course, you are still dependent on your parents, but you begin to get food yourself. Sometimes it turns into a show, who will find a crumb faster. The losers remain hungry, and the winners get a bonus. Envious glances from others. Your menu consists of the following items: various insects, seeds of different plants, waste from various products, cereals, berries, vegetables. You leave your native nest, as they say, with a light heart, although you are scared when predators fly nearby or a cat walks below who wants to eat you for lunch. But never mind. You're a sparrow. You're ready to fight for your life. A sparrow can die from anything. Street cats are just the beginning of the list. There are also birds of prey, cars, because you haven't learned the rules of the road, poisonous food, also from fright. In a calm state, a sparrow's heart beats at a speed of 600 beats per minute, and in flight it rises to 1,000 beats per minute. And of course, hunger. If you don't eat for 2 days, you'll die too. There are a lot of difficulties at the beginning of the journey, aren't there? You realize that you need to find a flock, so it will be easier to avoid some of the problems. You fly around the neighborhoods in search of relatives. And so you find your first flock, congratulations, and then the food finds you itself. But not everything is so simple. The flock has its own rules. The strongest eat first. Strength can be determined by the size of the tie on the neck. It is better not to mess with these guys. This was your first lesson in independent life. But I can congratulate you. You survived. Together you looked for food, drove away cats, did not let other birds into the feeders. Yes, sparrows are quite impudent birds. They do not care about your size. You were a real gang. Some were afraid of you. You could eat someone else's harvest. Insects hid from you if they heard you chirping. But not everyone in your gang was lucky. Someone got burned. Because not all wires can sit quietly. Someone was too weak to get their food, and someone crashed into a closed window, trying to find something tasty. Time went by, and you grew. Your size is about 6 inches and weight is 1.3 ounces. You earned the respect of the flock, fought with the strongest sparrows, and won. Your tie became bigger. Now you can eat food first. Congratulations. You enjoyed life, ate when you wanted, rested when you wanted. This continued until a certain point. The cold weather comes, and with it new difficulties. Now you need to look for shelter so as not to die from the cold. To warm up, you huddle in groups. Because everyone respects you, you are in the very center. But not everyone is so lucky. There is much less food. Sometimes you have to fight for a crumb of bread, or actively protect the found feeder from other birds. In the hardest times, you have to go to extreme measures. Difficulties make you stronger. So you learn to choose safe places to spend the night, found the best places to feed, knew how to avoid predators. Now you are at the peak of your career. You have survived many dangers. Once you almost became prey to a cat. Another time you escaped death from a thing that someone left on the sidewalk. You saw how friends died from invisible threats, like window panes or electrical wires. But you always got out of it, because the sparrow is a master of improvisation. Winter passes, and spring begins. You notice changes in yourself. It's time to look for a female. You fly around the neighborhood making various sounds, and then you meet your first love. Of course, you had to perform your best trills to attract her attention. The competition was tough, but you knew that persistence was the key. In the end, she chose you, and you felt like the happiest sparrow on earth, until the nest building began. It turns out that carrying twigs and blades of grass is not as romantic as you imagined. After 2 weeks of living together, you had eggs. You, like a true warrior, protected them from various predators. You also protected the entire area around the nest. If another family settled nearby, you had to defend your territory and destroy their eggs. Yes, sparrows only seem cute. Soon you had chicks. You became a real father. Now you carried food for the little beaks, remembering how your parents once looked after you. Every day the chicks became stronger, louder, more persistent. It was a difficult period, but also a happy one at the same time, especially when the chicks started flying. Where are you flying? There's a window. The chicks leave their nest, just like you once left yours. You are left alone. You realize that you still have time for a second batch of eggs. History repeats itself, and so the years pass. Here you are already 5 years old. For a sparrow, this is a respectable age, if it has reached it. You are not as fast as before, not as strong, but still full of optimism and determination. You spread your wings to fly over your neighborhood. You fly and remember everything that you had to go through over these years. You remember that annoying cat. You remember your sparrow gang, Frank, who burned on the wires, Oliver, who crashed into an invisible shield. You remember your first and only love. Stop, you are falling. You remembered all the stories for so long that you ran out of strength in flight. Sparrows can die if they fly more than 20 minutes without a break. And so your life ended. Such is the path of a sparrow, from a tiny chick to an adult bird, brave and determined. Although his life is short, it is full of adventure, struggle, and beauty. The sparrow is a symbol of survival, courage, and the ability to enjoy each new day, and also a reminder that even the smallest creatures hide a huge strength of spirit. Subscribe to the channel